गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादिशतारिणे नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादिशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरा भक्तवृंदा जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरा भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम राम हरे हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे. This is what we just did, is a short kirtan. Hope all of you are able to hear my voice. You just give me a confirmation by typing in the chat box. Maybe. Hear me? Okay, so let's begin today's discussion. So, just so that people don't ask again, I will. That's my name, and I am a brief introduction about myself. I am a counselor at ISKCON, and I conduct various sessions and various services for ISKCON. I am a full-time devotee in ISKCON, and had a corporate experience of 6 to 7 years in various parts of the world. But then I decided to serve Krishna and give all my energy and my time, my intelligence, my resources to Krishna for a particular reason. And that particular reason will be very much conveyed in today's discussion. So, welcome everybody once again. So this is the Bhagavad-gita, the divine song of the Lord. And This session is dedicated to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya for the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. You must have heard about him. If you have visited any ISKCON temple, you must have seen his murti or his deity. He's a very, very profound, influential personality all over the world. Bhagavad-gita, which everybody in ISKCON refers to, is precisely is written by him only. It's called as Bhagavad-gita As It Is. The books of Srila Prabhupada are read in all different parts of the globe. And share my screen again. So it is read in all different parts of the globe. I hope you are able to see my screen now. So this is Srila Prabhupada. And maybe as a homework for today's session, you can go back and search about Srila Prabhupada. I feel very, very grateful to him. I consider him as my grandfather. And therefore, whenever I start a particular session, I offer my respectful obeisances to him and to all my teachers and to all my seniors who have taught me so much in various aspects of life. So I'll just offer some prayers. And those who know, they can follow me. And those who don't, they can just close their eyes and try to hear me as I chant these transcendental sound vibrations. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Aschatya Deshatarine Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Giram Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Harihi Om Tat Sat. So welcome everybody to this wonderful session in which we are going to lay the foundations of this Gita course, or let's say we are trying to introduce this Gita course in general. And precisely what we are going to cover in today's session, the agenda is as follows. Time also, so I'll keep the. So what every one of us are looking for in life. Another thing which we would cover is need of the human beings. How essential is our spiritual need? We'll try to understand what are our basic needs, basically, first of all. And then we'll try to understand, do we have a spiritual need? And if at all we have, then how essential it is. And then we'll try to conclude that Bhagavad-gita can fully satisfy the spiritual need. And then this background of Bhagavad-gita and practical tip of the day that can make your life happy will cover on next Sunday. So actually this was designed to be a 3-hour session. We'll try to do 1 hour, 15 minutes today, and then 1 hour, 15 minutes the next Sunday. And this is a little serious discussion, and the background of Bhagavad-gita. And in every session, we give a practical tip, as promised, practical applications of Bhagavad-gita. And we also recite some shlokas and take some shlokas as homework for ourselves. So some part of the PPT will cover today and some part of the PPT will cover in the next session. So all those who are attending today, it becomes a little essential for all of you to also be present in the next session. And it will be me only who will be taking the next session also. So let's start. And all this while, if you have any questions, you can keep typing it in the chat box. However, I will not take those questions now. I will take those questions towards the end of the session. So that's the protocol which we will follow. Whatever questions which you get throughout the course of the discussion, please write it down in the chat column. And the questions which we will take, of course, we all have a time bandwidth. Suppose if there are 50,000 questions, we cannot take 50,000 questions. So how much soever possible, we'll try to take and we'll try to resolve. And those questions which are uncovered or which we are not able to cover, I will save those questions in my chat, and I will try to, or maybe those devotees or those people or those students who are unable to get their answers, they can message me personally rather, and I can try to answer those questions. Or maybe we can take these questions in the next class. So, what every one of us are looking for in life. So these sessions are meant to be a little interactive session. Considering the virtual platform, also to deliver these sessions. Let's say we'll try our best. So what every one of us are looking for in life. So when I ask these questions in my sessions to people, they come up with various kinds of answers. Maybe we can see some of the answers, as in, let's see what people are saying. Okay, some people are saying peace, they are looking for peace. Some people are looking for moksha. Some people are looking for happiness. Okay, somebody gave the symbol of a Mercedes car, so that means, are they looking for a Mercedes car? I don't know. Harmony, better survival. One person wants to earn 100 crores. Peace and harmony. Money. Someone wants to become a billionaire. Do some significant good work for people. Liberation, health and wealth. Satisfaction. Peace and good human being. So people are typing out really nice answers. Growth with peace of mind. Money for charity. Someone says bhakti. This is one of the unique responses which I've got till now. Find our purpose. What we didn't get in life can pass the things for the next generation. Okay. Spiritual satisfaction. Samarpan to Krishna. Another unique answer. Knowledge. Understand everything. Wow. Know the purpose of life and how to achieve it. Good answer. Mukti. So these are some of the answers which people give, what all of us are looking for in life. But maximum of you answered either happiness or peace of mind. And then the third largest was money. And after that, so on and so forth, positivity. And some people also said purpose of life. And one or two said bhakti and self-discipline, etc. Okay, so you can pause writing your answers. So the next question is, why do we want all these? Many of you told you want such things. You want happiness, you want peace of mind, you want health, you want wealth, you want self-discipline, you want samarpan to Krishna, you want bhakti. So many people do various kinds of things. The question is, why do we do all these things? Some people are busy taking care of the family. They see that as their prime duty. Some people may go to work and they see that work is the purpose of life. Some people see family, taking care of the family is the purpose of life. Some people have their own business, so they see expanding the business as the purpose of life. Some people go to school, so they think that the studying is the purpose of life. Some people, they try to enjoy some entertainment and think that is the purpose of life. Some people try to steal or do some unethical activities. and taking pride in such stealing and unethical activities. They think that is the purpose of life. And then, of course, some people make God consciousness or worshipping God as the purpose of life. So why do we do all these things? There's only one answer. People want to be happy. Somewhere down the line, we certainly find that the definition of happiness is different for different people. So in this session, we will try to discuss what is real happiness, or what is the universal definition of happiness, which is universally applicable to everybody. It does not vary from person to person. We'll try to understand such things. So, as we see in our advertisements, we find where the billboards will say such and such house, flat, bungalow, duplex, villa, or something is available only for 15 crore rupees. Kindly purchase it. If you purchase it, you will feel happy, you will become happy, you will become blissful. And the photos also which they put, a man and a woman and a small child, they are all together and they look as if they are happier than ever. Some people say, buy this car and you will become happy. And people actually fall in the trap for it. They think, if I buy a house, I'll become happy. If I buy a car, I'll become happy. Or buy this bike and you'll become happy. I think many of us would have fallen trap for this also. Buy a bike and you will become happy. Now, these days, they say, buy an inner wear and you'll become happy. An ad which said, Andar fit to bahar bhi hit. If you wear this banyan, then you will become happy. Certainly, there is no need to discuss. We are all wise and sensible people. We all understand that an inner wear definitely cannot make us happy. So, extrapolating it from there, we can also understand a bike essentially will not make us happy. The car will not make us happy. And the house will also not make us happy. In fact, strictly speaking, the house will just give us an EMI for the next 25 years. Nothing else. So let's have a little more objective analysis of what do we need to become. Are you all with me till now? Do you agree with me? Is there any disagreement? Do you really think that an inner wear can make you happy? If so, then you can type it out in the chat box and I'll have a look. Okay, I think everybody is with me. Yes. Now that you're with me, I will try to proceed. So how can we become truly happy? That is the next question which we want to discuss. Generally, people feel when their needs are fulfilled, they can become happy. This is a very, very gross definition of happiness. Suppose if it's too hot in this room and I switch on the fan, then I'll feel I become happy. But after some point of time, I'll realize, oh, I've got used to it and now I need something else. The grossest definition of happiness is generally people feel when their needs are fulfilled, whatever their needs could be, based on time, place, and circumstances, they feel that if my need is fulfilled, I'll be happy. And then people try to do various things to satisfy various needs. And these needs can be broadly classified under physical needs, psychological needs, emotional needs. So maybe all of you can have a notebook, or maybe you can all be taking some notes. Someone is saying, I don't agree with you, Prabhu. So please type down your disagreement. And towards the end of the session, we'll take it. Okay, so physical needs, generally our needs are classified under three categories: physical needs, psychological needs, and emotional needs. Some people feel, okay, if my physical needs are fulfilled, I'll become happy. Some people who are a little bit differently inclined, they give more importance to their mind and the psychology which they have, the inclination which they have. So they feel that my psychological needs should be fulfilled. That means I should get such and such environment, or I should get such and such facilities. People should, I should get a proper environment to study, and I have a right to pursue the kind of intellectual kick which I want to. I need job satisfaction and things like that. Psychological needs. I need to be respected. And then finally, we have emotional needs. Okay, I need to be loved. I need to be taken care of. I need to feel at home. So these are some of the needs which we have. And generally, people feel that when our physical needs are fulfilled, when our psychological needs are fulfilled, and when our emotional needs will be fulfilled, we will be happy. I will ask you a question. Do you know someone who has fulfilled all his physical needs and psychological needs and emotional needs and still is not happy? Those who are a fan of this gentleman, please don't take it to your heart. I was also at one point following this person. Something happened to this person which started a thought process in my mind. This is Chester Bennington. He is the lead singer of a very famous band called Linkin Park. 3 years ago, he committed suicide. As I've written here, he had everything a common man would dream of having. That means the things which he had, the others wouldn't even, or others could only dream of having. He had the best family where everybody was respecting him. He had nice friends. He had fans all over the world. Once he came to Bangalore, so much fan following he had all the money, he had all the fame. So basically he had name and fame. He had a beautiful appearance. He was also well educated. He was strong and influential in terms of the society. He was rich. So all these so-called qualifications of being rich, influential, name and fame, intelligent, beautiful, all these qualifications which people want, everything was there in him in profuse quantity. Then what went wrong that when this person's physical needs are satisfied, emotional needs are satisfied, psychological needs are satisfied, still such a person commits suicide? That means even after fulfilling the so-called physical, emotional, and psychological needs, something always remains missing. And that is what we are going to discuss today. And this missing link can solve the problem of our search for happiness. We are all constantly searching for happiness, and we are being given false promises that a house will make us happy, or a new job will make us happy, or an extra hike in our salary will make us happy, or a bike will make me happy, or a foreign assignment will make me happy, or a healthy body or a beautiful body will make me happy, or a name and fame can make me happy, good education can make me happy, strength, physical strength can make me happy. We are all thinking that all these things will make us happy, but we see that those people who have actually had these things, the most beautiful people, the most strong people, the most intelligent people, the most famous people, the most rich people, all of them are not satisfied, and many of them are committing suicide. I will not name, but very recently, a very famous Bollywood actor committed suicide. He also seemed to have almost everything in his life. That means there is certainly something missing in the definition of so-called happiness, which we are pursuing. So much so that no matter how much soever we pursue, our search for happiness doesn't seem to end. So let's explore further. And then we see that there are some other category of people. They seem to be a little better and more self-satisfied, and their life is running on a different track altogether. They believe in doing philanthropy, social welfare, and charitable activities. They feel it gives them satisfaction and some meaning to their lives, some sublime purpose to their life, some higher meaning to their life. So the lives of a particular category of people is not simply revolving around themselves. Rather, they think that the world does not revolve around me. I'm not the center of this world. A huge population of this planet presently thinks that the world revolves around me, and it is me who is important. So everything is related to me. This house is important because It is my house. This apartment complex is important because it is my apartment complex. This city is important because I live in this city. This state is important because I live in this state. This planet is important because I live in this planet. So basically, their life is selfish and extended selfishness in the form of I being extended to various other things. But there is another category of people whose life is not strictly falling in the definition of selfishness or extended selfishness. To some degree, you can say that they are selfless and they engage in some other activities which generally the so-called selfish or extended selfish people wouldn't normally engage in. What are those activities? Philanthropy, social welfare, charity, etc. So, what gives the satisfaction to these kind of people? So therefore, at this point of time, we need to understand something which is called as a spiritual need. Because physical needs are not making us fully happy. Emotional needs, satisfaction of emotional needs are not making us fully happy. Satisfaction of psychological needs are not making us fully happy. We need to explore more. The point which I want to highlight here, that happiness can be attained even by practicing basic aspects of spiritual tenets. So these things which I'm talking about, selfless service, helping others, being free from pride, feeling compassion for others, these are not strictly speaking spirituality. They are just outskirts of spirituality or borders of spirituality. The real spiritual life is something far, far more evolved than all these reflections of spiritual life or outskirts of spiritual life, such as selflessness, pridelessness, being compassionate, and things like that. So my question to all of you is, if some basic stuff can give so much satisfaction and happiness, when I say basic stuff, I mean the outskirts of spirituality, such as selflessness, pridelessness, compassionate outlook. If the outskirts of spirituality can give us so much happiness and satisfaction, then just imagine the happiness a spiritually mature person can experience. So therefore, I would like to quote something from the books from the Bhagavad-gita As It Is. This is from one of the purports or one of the explanations of Srila Prabhupada, who's the founder Acharya of ISKCON. He says, every one of us are searching after happiness, but we do not know what real happiness is. We see so much advertised about happiness, but practically speaking, we see so few people happy. Or rather, we see so few happy people. Like I showed in the beginning, the bike is making happy, the car is making happy, the inner undergarment is making happy. So had happiness been really there in these things, then the world wouldn't have been in a sorry state today. Therefore, this line is very important. We see so much advertised about happiness. So many false promises of happiness are being given to us in so many places. But practically speaking, we see so few happy people. This is because so few people know that the platform of real happiness is beyond temporary things. It is this real happiness that is described in the Bhagavad-gita by Lord Krishna to Arjuna. So this is real happiness. What do we learn from this statement? That happiness is beyond temporary things. So now the subject matter of temporary and permanent comes into the picture. Certainly, if we put our source of happiness into something which is temporary, that means it will not last forever. And therefore, when it will not last forever, we will be left alone without that source of happiness and we will feel sad. Why this tendency is there in us? The answer to this question is very, very simple. If you are hearing, please hear a little carefully. And if you're taking notes, please note this point very carefully. The reason why people get frustrated in their search for happiness is course, like it is highlighted here, that people try to find things or happiness in temporary things. And why doesn't it make them happy? Because things are temporary, we are permanent. So from this, we have to understand one very, very basic class 001 of spiritual science, class 101 of spiritual science, whatever you say. We are not this body. We are not the mind. We are not even the intelligence. We are the spirit soul. Because mind, body, and intelligence are all temporary. But the spirit soul is permanent. And because the spirit soul is permanent, it is the nature of the spirit soul to live in an environment which is permanent, to live in the association of things and people who are permanent. And therefore, when things like death happens, we feel sad. Because the spirit soul is not meant to die. That's why we say the body is temporary, but the soul is permanent. When somebody quits a particular body, we all have three kinds of body. The gross body which we have, and then the subtle body. Subtle body is that body which we cannot see. For example, the mind, intelligence, and our ego or false ego, whatever you say, they comprise the subtle body. Why I say subtle? Because I cannot see your mind, I cannot see your intelligence, I cannot see your ego. So we all have a gross body which we can see, and we have a subtle body which we cannot see, which comprises mind, intelligence, and false ego. And at the core of our existence is the spiritual body or the spirit soul. Now, the nature of the spirit soul is Sat, Chit, Anand. Sat means it is eternal. Chit means full of knowledge. And Anand means full of bliss. So the eternal constitutional position of the spirit soul, which is our true identity, is that all of us, constitutionally speaking, as spirit souls, we are all eternal, we are all completely full of knowledge, and we are all completely blissful. However, due to contact with this material nature, due to contact with the so-called subtle body and the influences of the material nature around us, we have been covered by ignorance, and our heart has become covered by lust, greed, anger, illusion, enviousness, and attachments. And because of such a thick covering of ignorance, we have forgotten our true identity. And therefore, although being spirit souls, we are eternal, we are full of knowledge, and we are completely blissful by our nature. Although being spirit souls in constitution, under the influence of Maya or the material nature or material energy, we are trying to find our happiness in temporary things. Therefore, we feel frustrated, because a spirit soul can be happy only in a spiritual environment. A spirit soul can become happy only after doing spiritual activities. Now, because we are wrongly identifying ourselves as not the spirit soul, we are thinking, oh, I'm an engineer, or I'm a doctor, or I'm a chartered accountant, or I'm a man, or I'm a woman, I'm an Indian, I'm Australian, I'm German, I'm cat, I'm dog. But nobody's thinking I'm the spirit soul. So because this false identification has come in, and people are thinking that I'm not this, people are thinking I'm the body. This body is me. And so therefore, what does this body need? This body wants to eat. This body wants to sleep. This body wants to mate. And this body wants to defend. So therefore, people are thinking that the purpose of life is simply eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. You travel all around the world, you will just find these four activities happening. Today, someone has eaten rice and dal. Tomorrow, they want to eat some puri and sabzi. After that, they want to eat some pizza. And after that, they want to eat some XYZ. And then they want to eat So basically they make their plans. You travel all around the world. You will just be eating different kinds of things. That's all. Sleeping. Today somebody is sleeping on the floor. Tomorrow they want to sleep in their house. Day after tomorrow they want to sleep in their own flat. After that they want to sleep on a curl-on mattress. Then they want to sleep in an air-conditioned environment. Then they want to sleep in the 110th floor of Burj Khalifa. After that they want to sleep in the Rashtrapati Bhavan. That's all. However, once you sleep, you don't know whether you are on the floor or in the Burj Khalifa. So the happiness which a person gets after sleeping and the happiness which a dog gets after sleeping or any other animal gets after sleeping is one and the same. Similarly, mating. I don't need to describe this. All of you are very intelligent people. You are seeing the degraded condition of the society these days. Everything revolves around this so-called sexual urge. All the films or the movies are being made just to ignite the lower natures of men and women. All the discussions which the youngsters and the teenagers do in their schools and colleges are just revolving around this one subject matter, as if there is no other subject matter in the whole universe. And this is the basic outlook in everything. Sadly speaking, even 30 years ago, this was not the situation. Thanks to the influence of television and the Western culture and the internet, I know some people who can't even sleep every day without seeing some horrible things on their mobile and on their laptops. And therefore, they are completely planning day after day, month after month, year after year, how to mate in better and better ways. And finally, defense. They try to protect themselves in every situation. Sometimes they buy a life insurance, then they buy a car insurance. In India, at least this insurance culture has not picked up very nicely or very completely. But if you go to Europe, you'll go crazy. There is an insurance for everything possible which you can imagine on this earth, especially also in the US. So somehow or the other, the purpose of the lives of the people has simply narrowed down to these four things: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Why? Because they are thinking that they're this body, and this body becomes happy by eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So let's dedicate a life to simply eat, sleep, mate, and defend, and continue making better arrangements for eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And in this way, just pass your life paying the bills and eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, and ultimately be frustrated because the whole foundation was wrong. The whole identification of self was wrong, thinking oneself to be the body. Whereas we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. And therefore, this is precisely the reason why most beautiful people of this planet, most intelligent people of this planet, most educated people of this planet, most rich people of this planet, and most influential and famous people of this planet are committing suicides. Why? Because they are not happy. Why? Because they misidentified themselves. They thought that we are this body, but they are not this body, they are the spirit soul. So this is spirituality 101. We are not this body, we are not the mind, we are not the intelligence, we are the spirit souls. One who comes to this conclusion, he begins, or he or she, they begin their spiritual life. Don't think that just if you come to this conclusion, you have become a highly spiritually enlightened person. No, that's not the case. Your spiritual life begins. And those who have not even understood this, those who are thinking that they are this body or they are this mind, so some people are a little evolved. They don't think that they are this body, so they don't spend their life practically. They are on a mental platform, like the poets or the different kinds of authors and mathematicians or scientists. They are on the mental platform. They get a kick. So they spend their entire life on that mental platform. Some people are even higher. They are on the intellectual platform. So what I'm trying to say is that I've had personal acquaintances with such people. Even after so-called intellectually titillating achievements and psychologically satisfying conquests, they themselves are also not happy. So that means there is something beyond that also. And even people like Ravan and Hiranyakashipu, who tried their best to satisfy their false ego, they were also not happy. So this certainly proves that somewhere or the other, the effort is going in the wrong direction. And therefore, we have to understand we are not this body, we are not the mind, we are not the intelligence, we are the spirit soul. And once we realize this, we will stop our search for happiness in temporary things, and we will focus on things which are of the same nature as us. That is, we are eternal, we are fully blissful, and we are full of knowledge. That means we are spiritual in nature, in our original constitutional position. So therefore, we should associate with things and objects which are spiritual in nature. And that will give us happiness. Just like a fish can only be happy in water. If you take the fish out of water, if you place the fish on a very nice couch or a sofa, you switch on a very nice music, you turn off the lights, you dance in front of the fish, you give the fish something to eat, the fish will not be happy because the fish belongs to the water. So similarly, we being spirit souls, we belong to a spiritual nature. If we come out of that spiritual nature and if we fully engross ourselves in the materialistic society and in the material world, thinking all this eating, sleeping, mating, defending, and all these kind of things will make me happy, having hopes that these things will make me happy, ultimately we'll be frustrated. Just like the fish will be frustrated out of water, a spirit soul will be, in the end, frustrated outside the purview of spiritual activities. So I hope I've explained you the point, which is a quite profound point. And therefore, the goal of this Gita course revolves around this point. Our goal is to help you understand the divine teachings of Srimad Bhagavad-gita, which can ensure a positive, enthusiastic, forbearing, and divine consciousness in the most difficult and trying phases of your life. So the first chapter of Bhagavad-gita, if you have read, there are some questions. There is the description of the war, the description of the battlefield, the army on each side, and warriors on each side. And in the second chapter, or even in the first chapter, Arjuna starts displaying his state of mind, where he expresses some doubt. He was basically depressed. He was not very confident. He was sad. He was distracted, and he didn't know what to do in life. And so therefore, second chapter onwards, Krishna starts speaking. And after Arjuna hears this Bhagavad Gita, earlier he was sad, depressed, distracted, not sure what to do. And after hearing the Bhagavad Gita, he was focused, determined, convinced, happy, and a winner. So this is the difference which Bhagavad Gita makes in anybody's life. And this Bhagavad Gita is the summum bonum of spiritual science. This is the cream, just like when you take a milk and you put a churning rod in the milk and then you churn the milk like this, then the butter comes out. So if you consider the entire Vedic literature to be the milk kept in the pot, and when you churn that pot, the butter which floats up or which comes up, or the cream which comes up, that is Bhagavad Gita. Or else you can have another example or another analogy where you can understand it in this way, that Bhagavad Gita is the summary study of the entire Vedic literature. If you have nicely understood the Bhagavad Gita, you can very confidently claim that you know the essence and the summum bonum of the entire Vedic literature. Why? Because Bhagavad Gita talks about spiritual life. It makes one understand what is the spirit soul, what is the difference between the body and the spirit soul, what are the different kinds of activities which one has to do to complete the path of perfection, or let's say his spiritual journey, where one understands what is the goal of my life and what is the relationship between the soul and the super soul. And these kind of discussions are happening basically. So we, via the medium of imparting spiritual understanding and spiritual knowledge to all of you, by the systematic, step-by-step procedural study of Bhagavad-gita, we want to make all of you truly positive, truly enthusiastic, truly forbearing, and truly divine. So that even in the most difficult and trying phases of your life, you will not be agitated. Why? Because anybody who reads the Bhagavad-gita is in this world, but is not of this world. Please take a note. When you come on the spiritual platform, or when you start reading, studying, discussing, and appreciating the Bhagavad-gita as it is, I add a phrase called as it is, not try to come up with some mentally concocted meaning full of speculations. No, we want to read the Bhagavad-gita as it is. We want to understand the Bhagavad-gita the way Arjuna understood it, and not concoct a particular meaning out of ourselves. In my opinion, according to me, I think XYZ, blah, blah, blah. This is wrong. I think in the 4th session, we will explain you why you should study the Bhagavad-gita written by Srila Prabhupada, which is called as Bhagavad-gita as it is, and not other Bhagavad-gitas, because in the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna says, Evam param para praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sa kale ne hamata yogo nashta param. So the Bhagavad-gita as the science can be only obtained or received in a chain of guru-disciplic succession. Guru Shishya Parampara. So only one who knows the Bhagavad-gita and who has learnt it from his spiritual master, and this chain of disciplic succession should be bona fide. So we will give you a definition of what is a bona fide disciplic succession. Presently, there are only 4 bona fide disciplic successions. We will name them also in future sessions. And anybody who does not follow this, and if they just wake up from their bed and they write a Bhagavad-gita, this is X Gita, Y Gita, My Gita, Living Gita, XYZ Gita, blah, blah, blah Gita. They are not touching even the subject matter of Gita. First of all, because they are not coming in the Guru Shishya Parampara. So therefore, they are on a mental concocted platform where they are just imagining some meanings of Bhagavad Gita and twisting the verses and doing some word jugglery and trying to come up with some some kind of a phantasmagoria or some kind of a meaning which makes no sense. There are around 497 types of Bhagavad Gita in the market. Do not think that I'm trying to serve Krishna in ISKCON, so I'm speaking like this. Even before coming to ISKCON, I had already come to this conclusion that out of this 490 versions of the Bhagavad Gita are simply bogus and fit to be thrown into the dustbin. Because after reading them, not even a single person is becoming a devotee of Krishna. They write Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. But there I have seen some authors who comment that Krishna is not Bhagavan. The author of Bhagavad Gita, Ved Vyas, is writing Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, and not just in Bhagavad Gita, in so many other Puranas and Srimad Bhagavatam and various other places. Ete Chamsa Kala Prushpumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Indrari Vyakulam Loke Midanti Yuge Yuge. In the Srimad Bhagavatam it is said, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like that it is being said. Various places. But there are so many people who first of all murder Krishna in their explanations and discussions of Bhagavad Gita. And they give a very, very impersonalistic approach to Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna says, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. That means only my devotee can understand me. So these people, there are so many so-called authors who first of all do not accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Secondly, they are not devotees of Krishna. Third, they don't come in any Guru Shishya Parampara. Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, shloka 34. Tad vidhi pranipaten pariprashnena sevaya updeshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshana. Krishna has told how to approach, how to get knowledge, or what is the process of getting knowledge. He says, just approach a spiritual master who comes in a chain of disciplic succession, and then do what? Surrender to him first. Then render some service to him. Then ask questions submissively. Now, because that person has seen the truth, the truth or this spiritual science will be revealed to you in a process or in a transfer from heart to heart. So there are so many people who ignore the basic meaning of Bhagavad-gita and concoct their own meanings. So therefore, my request to all of you is that I have personally studied various kinds of Bhagavad-gita, wasted my time, and I can tell you that Bhagavad-gita as it is, or Bhagavad-gita Yatharup, in Hindi they say, Bhagavad-gita Yatharup, in English Bhagavad-gita as it is. In Marathi they say Bhagavad-gita Jashe Ahe Tashi. So many languages are there. So when you read the Bhagavad-gita written by Srila Prabhupada, you will see that it will really create a profound difference in your life, because it will truly make you positive, enthusiastic, forbearing, and divine. And it will definitely increase the aspect of devotion or bhakti in your heart. Now, there is one more point. I will leave the background of Bhagavad-gita for the next session. There is one point which I want to discuss. We spent a lot of time discussing about the spirit soul. I also want to discuss something which is called as Dharma. So, what does Dharma mean? All of us are, or maybe I've tried to present an understanding where I try to discuss that we are not this body, we are not the mind, we are not the intelligence, we are the soul. Now that we know we are a spirit soul, keeping this fact in the mind, if we try to discuss what is Dharma, a very, very narrow translation of the word Dharma in the language of English is religion. I personally do not agree with this translation, the word religion. Dharma in the Vedic literature or in the Vedic scriptures is elaborated as the intrinsic constitutional nature of something is Dharma. I repeat, the intrinsic constitutional characteristic or the intrinsic constitutional nature of any object or a thing or a person or a subject matter of study is Dharma. So if I ask someone, what is the Dharma of salt? The answer is the Dharma of the salt is to be salty. That is the Dharma of salt. So if we see a salt which is not salty, but let's say sweet, then we'll say it is an adharmic salt. Similarly, what is the Dharma of sugar? The Dharma of sugar is to be sweet. What is the Dharma of chili? The Dharma of the chili is to be hot. And of course, one more thing which I want to highlight, just like the Dharma of salt cannot be changed. So similarly, because it is why the Dharma of salt cannot be changed? Because it is the intrinsic constitutional characteristic or nature of the salt. The reason why salt is because it is salty. So therefore, the Dharma of the salt is to be salty. Please try to understand it from that perspective. So therefore, now that we understand that I am not this body, which means I'm not a man, I'm not a woman, I'm not an engineer or a doctor, I'm not a Kannadiga or a Kerala, I'm not an Indian or an Australian or a German or European, I'm not a cat, I'm not a dog, I'm a spirit soul. So when I understand what I'm a spirit soul, so if I ask you with this basic understanding that what is the Dharma of the spirit soul, what will your answer be? Certainly, when we look at Dharma from this perspective, we understand that the so-called modern religions, which we talk about, such as Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, and XYZ, and blah, blah, blah. Now, these are not, strictly speaking, Dharma. Of course, they are some perverted reflection of Dharma or a limited or a narrow understanding of the word Dharma. But the reason why I do not agree when someone says, oh, when I ask you what is your Dharma, they say, oh, I'm from Hindu Dharma. I do not appreciate that answer because today you are a Hindu, tomorrow you may become a Muslim. So that means you can change your dharma also. But according to the Shastra, dharma is something which cannot be changed. It is the intrinsic constitutional characteristic of a subject matter of study. So therefore, if I say Hinduism is my dharma, and tomorrow I just change my dharma, so that means it is not falling into the description of dharma. So therefore, it is very safe to conclude that these so-called contemporary dharmas which have come up, actually Hinduism is also not eternal. Sanatana Dharma is eternal. So all the Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, everything has come up in the last few thousands. The moment Kali Yuga started, these religions which were on the bodily platform, not on the spiritual platform, strictly speaking. Otherwise, how is it possible that today I'm a Hindu and tomorrow I can become a Christian? That means I'm simply thinking that religion is something related to my body because I have been born in the house of a particular person. So I am such and such. Tomorrow I want to marry someone. So for that purpose, I need to become a Christian. So let me become a Christian. That means I was a Hindu and now I became a Christian. That is not dharma. Dharma is something which is eternal. So now that we know that we are spirit soul, and if I want to ask this question, what is the dharma of the spirit soul? Please try to think what the answer could be. I will give you the answer. The answer is written in the scriptures. Especially in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, whenever we talk or whenever we discuss something, we do not do it in the mode of I think, according to me, in my opinion. No. Please don't consider me harsh when I say this. We don't care for your opinion. We don't care for your opinion, and I don't care for my opinion. We all stick to what the Shastra says. So we always try to validate things in a triangle of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. If Guru says something, and if the sadhus or the other saintly people also say the same thing, and finally the Shastra also confirms this, then we come to the conclusion that yes, this is right. So therefore, in our sessions, we generally do not encourage discussions like I think, in my opinion, I feel, XYZ. No. Just like when you go to a high court or a Supreme Court, whatever the lawyers say, they always quote references that in such and such judgment, which was passed in such and such year, this thing had happened. So basis that, or based on that, let me try to propose such and such thing. So similarly, here also in this forum, when we will discuss something, we will only discuss on the basis of Shastra or the scriptures, what the scriptures have got to say. So technically speaking, I don't care for my opinion. We don't care for your opinion. We only care for the opinion of the Shastra. And the Shastra says, Jivera Swarupa Hai Krishnera Nityadas. Jiva, or the spirit soul, Swarupa, or the eternal constitutional position of the spirit soul is that it is an eternal, loving servant of God. Jivera Swarup Hai Krishnera Nityadas. Now in this world, this philosophy is a little difficult to digest, because if we become the servant of someone, we expect some salary. But then that is not service. Service means which is done out of love, which is done out of, what do you call it? A personal call from within. That is seva. In the future course, in the future sessions, we will talk to you about the spiritual world, which Krishna talks in the Bhagavad-gita. Natad bhashayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tad dham paramam mama. Krishna says, in my abode, there is no need of sun or moon. Na shashanko na pavakaha. There is no need of electricity also. Why? Because everything is self-illuminating. Natad bhashayate suryo. There is no need of sun. Na shashanko na pavakaha. No moon, no electricity, no, all these things are not required. Yad gatva na nivartante tad dham paramam mama. And anybody who goes or who achieves that supreme eternal abode, or let's say anybody who goes back home, back to Godhead, never has any obligation to come back in this world, which is full of birth, disease, old age, and death. These are the real problems of life. When we ask what is the problem of your life, people say traffic is the problem, internet speed is the problem, girlfriend or boyfriend is the problem, or diseases are the problem. So many things they say. But the definition of a real problem is a problem is a real problem only when it happens to everybody without any exception. And nobody should want it. And nobody should be able to do anything about it. If any problem fits these three criteria, then it is a real problem, according to the Shastra. Some people will say poverty is a problem. So let's examine. Is everybody in the world poor? Answer is no. So therefore, it's not a real problem. So a problem is a real problem when it is universally applicable to everybody, when nobody should want it. I know some people personally who really want to become poor. And nobody should be able to do anything about it. So if you, on these criteria, if you judge all the problems of your life, you will eliminate all the problems, and in the end, only 4 problems will remain, which is birth, disease, old age, and death. These are the real problems of life. And in the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna talks about how to overcome these real problems of life and how to go back home, back to Godhead. Please take note of the words and the phrases which I'm using. They are subject matter for further discussion. I'm saying we all have to go back home, back to Godhead. Okay, so in the further sessions, I will further elaborate upon it. And even in the next session, I will discuss something. But before we go to the next session, I have promised that in every session, we will say a particular shloka, try to recite a particular shloka, and then we will give it away as homework so that people can remember it. So please try to see the recitation of the shloka, which is Bhagavad-gita 1.1. Please take it as a homework and try to learn it also by the next week, by the next session when you come. So you can see how to pronounce it. Dhritarashtra uvacha dharma kshetre kurukshetre samavetayutsavaha mamaka pandavaschaiva kimma kurvata sanjaya. I'll repeat again. Dhritarashtra uvacha dharma kshetre kurukshetre samavetayutsavaha mamaka pandavaschaiva kimma kurvata sanjaya. Translation: Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Bhagavad-gita 1.1. So this verse, there is so much to talk about in this verse. This verse practically gives away the entire first chapter. And this verse is very cryptic. There are so many hidden meanings in this verse. And simply by reading this verse and the purport or the tika, tippani, or what do you call, bhavarth of this verse, the purport of this verse, when you will read, you will understand that it is so profound, so profound. I have seen some so-called literatures which start with silly things. But see the way Bhagavad-gita starts. Dharma kshetre kurukshetra. Samaveta yuyutsava. At least there can be 20 questions in this first line only. Why is Kurukshetra called as Dharma Kshetra? First question. Samaveta yuyutsava. Desiring to fight, that is Samaveta yuyutsava. So if they have assembled together desiring to fight, then what is the question of asking Kim Akurvata Sanjaya? What did they do? So that means there is some other things which we have to read between the lines. Now, why is he saying Mamaka and Pandavash? Essentially speaking, everybody is like his own child, Dhritarashtra. Why is he saying my sons and the sons of Pandu? Kim akurvata Sanjaya? Why is he asking Sanjaya? Now, who is Dhritarashtra? There are so many things to discuss in this verse, which we will do when we will cover the background of Bhagavad Gita, and I will explain this verse to you in full detail. But our only expectation is that you kindly learn this verse and come. You should be able to recite this verse, and also you should be able to tell the meaning of this verse. I'll again recite it for your reference. Dhritarashtra uvacha dharmakshetre kurukshetre samavetaya yutsavaha mamaka pandavaschaiva kimma kurvata sanjaya. So with this, I would like to stop today's discussion. But I would also request you to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with me for some time. All these things I will cover in the next session. So, sometimes we need to put our faith in few things to experience the benefit out of it. For example, when you buy a particular medicine from a particular shop, on the medicine it is written, okay, please take it twice in a day with hot water or with XYZ, and then you follow that to get the full benefit. So Krishna consciousness, which I will explain in detail in the next session, is all about a spiritual consciousness. When you are sleeping, if something touches you, you will not wake up. If you get a particular smell, you will not wake up necessarily. If somebody puts something on your tongue while sleeping, you may not necessarily wake up. But if you hear, basically what I'm trying to say, while you're sleeping, the sense of taste, the sense of smell, the sense of sight, and the sense of touch, they are all sleeping. But there is one sense which is still awake. That is the sense of hearing. That is why when you hear an alarm, you get up and snooze it. Or maybe you get up also. So, sound is a very, very powerful thing. Sound is a very, very powerful vibration. Sound is so powerful that just imagine the power of sound. If you just get up and if your roommate tells you, oh, you look so horrible. Why did I even see you in this morning? Now that I've seen you, my entire day will be bad. So how will your day be? Just by hearing this, your day will be gloomy and sad and depressed. But let's say if you just get up and somebody says, oh, you're looking so fresh. It seems you've had a good night's sleep. I'm very happy to see you this morning. And now that I have seen you, I feel hopeful in my life to have a friend like you. And therefore, I feel very happy. And I feel my day will be good. Simply by hearing this, now you imagine it is the same person saying, but just the sound vibration basically changed. The words changed. And therefore, it impacted your consciousness so much. So sound has the power of impacting your consciousness. So this combination of 16 words, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Iti Shodashakam Nam Kali Kalma Shanashanam, Nata Parataropaya Sarva Vedeshu. So these 16 syllable mantra, if you just chant it, it has a profound effect on your consciousness. This effect is so deep and so relishing and so cherishable that it is even impossible to express it in words. Like I said, by chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, just like when you hear a particular radio, you may be in your room, but when you hear the radio, you know everything which is happening outside in the world. Basically, you come back to the world. So this sound vibration, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, is coming from the innermost chambers of the spiritual world. This is not a mundane sound vibration. This is a transcendental spiritual sound vibration, which you will realize in the coming sessions as we will request you to practice, and we will explain you more. You will realize this, understand this for yourself. But for this session, you just have faith in what I'm saying and just chant with me for the next 3 minutes this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. You can sit straight, you can close your eyes. If you don't feel like closing, no problem. But as you chant, you just have to chant and you have to hear what you are chanting. You have to chant and you have to hear. Don't try to chant it in your mind internally. No. You have to chant audibly and you have to chant and you have to hear what you're chanting. And if your mind goes here and there, try to bring it back. Try to focus your mind on this transcendental spiritual sound vibration of Hare Krishna. Okay? Please chant. 1 second. I will try to share something with you. I'll play the sound vibration of Srila Prabhupada. Hear his chanting. We'll chant together for 2 minutes.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare.
Thank you very much. We all chanted very nicely for some time. We chanted around 25 times. I recommend that you chant at least 25 times or 50 times based on your time availability every day so that you can derive maximum benefit for the next 6 or 7 days. Now we will take up some questions. Before I take these questions, I want to ask one question. Was the tape which I was playing towards the end of the session, was it audible to you? You can just type yes, then I will understand that it was audible. And then I will go to the questions. Yes, okay, thank you. Enough. No need for any further types. Okay, yeah, I know it was a little fast because time was less. So I will start taking questions now. I will take questions for the next 20 minutes. I do not know how many I will be able to take. So please pardon me if I cannot. First question, no classes on Saturdays. Answer is yes, we will not take classes on Saturdays. We will focus only on Sundays because many of you were not comfortable attending both the days because you said you had other commitments. So we said, fine enough, good enough. We will meet once a week, but we will give half an hour extra. So instead of meeting 7 to 8, we will meet 7 to 8:30 only on Sundays. Okay. Okay. Question is, what I have felt so far in my life, physical needs fulfillment is just to impress the society. Yes, it is. Basically, our so-called happiness is, most of the times our happiness is the delta or the difference between the so-called happiness between me and my neighbor. If I have one horse or one car, and if my neighbor has two cars, then I will forget the satisfaction of having one car and the fact that this car is fulfilling my need. But I will be unhappy rather because my neighbor has two cars. So I agree with the statement that most of the times our happiness is just based on the delta of so-called happiness or the difference of happiness between me and the society. What is spirituality? This is a question asked to me. My answer is to understand that I am a spirit soul. I'm not this body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intelligence, but I'm a spirit soul. And therefore acting on the spiritual platform is called spirituality in a very basic, brief way. What is called intelligence? Is it to transform a green land to a concrete jungle, or maintaining and living with the nature is intelligence? Is a farmer intelligent or a top businessman? This is a very, very good question. I will request all of you to write your real names. This question has been asked to me by Spirit Soul. Thank you, Spirit Soul, for asking me this question, but we would appreciate more and we will feel a more personal interaction with you if you write your actual name. But to answer your question, please don't type any more questions because I think we have sufficient questions. So what is intelligence? No, the answer is not to convert a green land into a concrete land is not intelligence. Maintaining is not intelligence. Living with the nature is also not very much intelligent. Of course, it is a better thing to do, but that is not the definition of intelligence. A farmer or a top businessman, just because somebody is a top businessman, cannot be said to be intelligent. The definition of intelligence is the ability, I repeat, you can take a note or you can hear carefully. The definition of intelligence is the ability to differentiate between right and wrong in critical situations. That is called intelligence. So therefore, nobody is intelligent from their mother's womb. One has to read the Shastra. One has to read the Bhagavad-gita, because the Bhagavad-gita tells you what is good, what is bad, what is divine, what is demoniac, what to work, what not to work, how much to work and how much not to work, how to work and how not to work. So this information you get from the Shastra. So therefore, when somebody reads the Bhagavad Gita and understands the practical applications of the Bhagavad Gita and try to apply it in their life, they become intelligent. And therefore, when in a particular situation they are put into some situation, then they are based on the knowledge of the Shastra and not what their mind is telling them, but based on the knowledge which they have gained by reading the Bhagavad Gita and by associating with such highly trained spiritual personalities. When they come to a particular decision, that is intelligence. What is meant by defending? Defending means, like, for example, if you take a stick and if you try to just scare away a dog, the dog will try to bark. That is called defense mechanism of the dog. So similarly, most of the time we are just in a defense mode. I just need to, the purpose of my life is to protect myself and my family. So I take insurance and I make arrangements for tomorrow, day after tomorrow. If lockdown is going to happen, then I will just buy the whole store and keep it with me. So that is some kind of defense mechanism. Can you please define and explain spirituality as it has been passed on by people in a very wrong way? I think I already did. The definition of spirituality is to understand that I'm a spirit soul and then practice spiritual and practice spirituality in your life by acting on the spiritual platform. But since this question has come again, I'll give a one-step higher definition of spirituality. Understanding that I'm a spirit soul and then trying to connect myself to the super soul, when I try to have a connection or rekindle my relationship, the relationship of the soul and the super soul, strictly speaking, that is spirituality. If we live a perfect life, then we may not have a moment of surprise in our life. No masaledar life. What's wrong in living imperfect life? Yes, please go ahead. Please try to intoxicate very nicely. Please try to have illicit sexual relationships. And please try to go on eating horrible things. And please try to go on gambling. You will certainly come to know what is wrong in living an imperfect life. And there is no surprise here. And certainly, if you live a perfect life, there will be still surprises. Okay, so don't think that if you don't get masala in your life, then basically this is, I think it's a question which I think will be answered in the future sessions. But as of now, the Bhagavad-gita says, one who lives by their own whims and fancies and who does not follow the scriptures, chapter 16 of the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna says this to Arjuna, that one who lives by their own whims and fancies. That means they live a it's my life kind of a mood. This is my life, I'll do whatever I want. Who are you to tell me? So one who lives by their own whims and fancies without following the scriptures, Krishna says, they do not attain perfection. They do not attain happiness, and they do not achieve a higher destination. PhD, perfection, happiness, and higher destination is not achieved by those people who do not abide by the scriptures. So therefore, I don't think it is just a coincidence that you have used perfection in your question. Krishna already has clarified in the 16th chapter that if you do not abide by the scriptures and if you live by your own whims and fancies, trying to have a masaledar life, there is no question of perfection, there is no question of happiness, and there is certainly no question of higher destination. When we will get the recorded session, maybe by tomorrow you'll get the recorded session. Won't translation led to a slight change in the actual meaning or the essence of the message? But how do you know what is the essence or what is the message? Suppose if somebody wants to know about me, they have to ask it, or they have to ask this question to a person who knows me. A person who knows me can tell you something about me. There's a common logic, common sense. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gita, Bhaktya mam abhijanati. That means only my devotee can understand. So therefore, all the so-called karma yogis, jnana yogis, and dhyan yogis, and all the so-called scientists, philosophers, and scholars who are not devotees of Krishna and who are trying to write commentaries on Bhagavad-gita, they actually don't know Krishna. So they will give you an imperfect picture of the Bhagavad-gita. So therefore, Guru Shishya Parampara means something which I have learned from my spiritual master, I will pass it on to you without adding any masala or without adding any personal interpretation. A true messenger of Krishna is like a postman. When he brings the message of Krishna, like a postman will not add something while reading the letter to you. He will just read it as it is. So similarly, Guru Shishya Parampara means presenting the message of Krishna as it is. So there is no question of losing the essence. How do we realize the Bhagavad Gita? By being in the association of devotees, by reading the Bhagavad Gita in the association of devotees of Krishna, by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and by eating prasad of Krishna, you can realize the Bhagavad Gita. Which should be followed, dharma or karma? I do not understand this question. What actually dharma is, I think I told you, the intrinsic characteristic or quality of a particular subject matter of study is dharma. What does salt taste like for God? Since humans have imperfect senses, so obviously we feel salt, we feel is salty but may not be salty. See, of course, this is a fact that humans have imperfect senses and God's senses are completely perfect. But please understand, God reciprocates with everybody. God reciprocates with a parrot also. God reciprocates with human beings also. God reciprocates with the demigods also. God reciprocates with the demons also. God reciprocates with the amoeba also. And the greatness of God is that he comes down to the level of a particular living species to reciprocate with them. For example, the pastimes of Krishna. When he comes into the material world, he just acts like a human being. So therefore, if you put too much salt in a preparation and offer it to Krishna, Krishna will not like it. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham, Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gita. The degree to which one surrenders to me, I reciprocate or I reveal myself accordingly. So, if you are cooking something for Krishna, thinking whether Krishna will like it or not, and in that way, if you put an optimum amount of salt, then Krishna will like it. Certainly. Okay, next question. What actually dharma is? This question is answered. The author of Bhagavad-gita is Vyas Rishi is Hindu. I disagree. This Hinduism, this word has been coined first of all by the Britishers. And Hinduism in its present form did not even exist. Vyasdev was there in the last phases of Dwapar Yuga, and he was writing, he was just putting into writing all the Vedas and Puranas and the Upanishads. So during the time of Krishna, 5,432 years ago, there was no Hinduism, no Christianity, no Islam, nothing. There was just one dharma, and that is Sanatana Dharma. People were only in two categories: atheists and devotees, that's all. In fact, they were not even atheists. Followers of Krishna were called as demigods, and the non-followers of Krishna were called as the demons. This is a basic understanding. Next question, is it not that all the Shastra referred is a part of Hindu? I disagree, no. Hinduism is not the original Sanatana Dharma. In fact, I would say that it is not a very perfect reflection of Sanatana Dharma. Of course, it is the remnants of Sanatana Dharma. It is the remnants of the Vedic society. But Hinduism is not the actual dharma which we are prescribing to in our Gita course. Again, this question is coming again and again. Shastra, Veda, Sanatana Dharma, Upanishads are a part of Hindu tradition. First, try to understand what is Sanatana Dharma and what is Hinduism. Hinduism is not eternal. Hinduism has just come up recently. Sanatana Dharma was that religion which was existing before all these contemporary religions which you presently see. But I do agree that Hinduism is the remnants of the Vedic society or remnants of the Sanatana Dharma. But strictly speaking, the present Hindu society which you see is not Sanatana Dharma. Next question. If we are servants of Krishna, why he sent us to the materialistic world to suffer? Good question. It is asked by Sanve Sarkar. Good question. We have been sent by Krishna into this material world because we rebelled against Krishna. We became envious of Krishna. We wanted to enjoy separately from Krishna, and we wanted to become God also. Just like in the society, those people who do something very mischievous so that others are getting so much trouble because of them, they are put into a jail. So therefore, when somebody becomes disqualified to stay in the spiritual world, or when somebody, strictly speaking, when somebody wants to enjoy separately from Krishna, like you see this finger and this hand. So this finger can be happy as long as this finger is connected to the hand, and this finger should cooperate with the hand. Then the hand will be happy and the finger will be happy. But if the finger thinks, oh, I will get separated and I will enjoy separately, then what will happen? The finger will die in few days, and the hand for the rest of the life will be missing the finger. So when a Jivatma or a spirit soul tries to enjoy separately from the super soul, that is Krishna, and when he starts developing such kind of desires, then Krishna sends them to the material world in order so that they may realize that actual happiness is to always remain, actual happiness is always in remaining connected with Krishna and serving Krishna, rather than being separate from Krishna and trying to enjoy separately from Krishna, rebelling Krishna, becoming envious of Krishna, and trying to become Krishna. Now, the moment one starts asking question, oh, why is Krishna only enjoying? Why can't I enjoy? And then they have to come to the material world and then suffer. Heaven and hell is all on earth. Yatha deshti tatha shrishti. If you live in a heavenly way, that is the heaven for you. If you treat this planet as hell, it's hell, no offense. Spirit soul is asking questions in various directions. I appreciate that. But I can prove this statement, yatha dishti tatha shrishti, wrong, at least by 2-3 arguments. I will ask question to Spirit soul. How much money do you have, Spirit soul? And if I start seeing your money as my money, yatha drishti tatha shrishti, suppose you have 10 rupees with you, and if I see that 10 rupees is mine, then will it become mine? If I look at somebody else's wife and I think yatha drishti tatha shrishti, this so-called person's wife is my wife, will she become my wife? Suppose if somebody is a beggar and they are standing in front of, let's say, the Rashtrapati Bhavan, yatha drishti tatha shrishti, he's thinking or he's seeing this parliament house as his own house, will it become his own house? So although this aspect of yatha drishti tatha shrishti may be applicable in few areas, but it is not a universal statement. So to state that heaven is also on earth and hell is also on earth, the way you treat this planet, of course, to some degree it is right. But universally speaking, strictly speaking, shastrically speaking, this is wrong. Because there is actually something called as a heaven and hell. Okay? You can say both heaven and hell are in this material world. Spiritual world is different. But certainly there are hellish planets and there are heavenly planetary systems. Okay? And one needs qualification to enter the heavenly planetary systems. And one needs disqualification to enter the hellish planetary systems. It is mentioned in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 25. You can refer. What's the duration of this course? We are yet to decide. We are just trying to, generally this course goes on for 9 weeks, but we'll see how it comes. Okay. How many times should we chant the mantra meditation daily? My answer is, whenever you get time, you please chant. Somebody answered 108. Yes, 108 is the right number. 16 rounds, one round consists of 108 times chanting. If you can do that, that is good, but as of now, not recommended. If you can, it is very good. Okay. Can we have the slides of the shloka to read? Definitely. We will send it to you in the course of the week. If we all become spiritual, then how our nation is going to defend itself? So who told you that spirituality is cowardice? The most spiritual person was Arjuna. Arjuna killed 64 crore people in the battlefield. 64 crore. So this whole understanding that if I become spiritual, I'll become a coward is a wrong understanding. Actually, this Bhagavad-gita was not meant for monks or saints. Like I said, imam rajarshayo viduhu. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. Krishna says. Some people say this Bhagavad-gita is 5,000 years old. Actually, that is also wrong. Krishna says in the beginning of the creation, he gave this knowledge to sun god, Vivaswan. And Vivaswan gave it to Manu. Manu gave it to Ikshvaku. And all these people are Raja Rishis. They are like the rulers of the world or the planet in general. They are actually great administrative Kshatriyas. And they are saintly at their heart. Therefore, they are called as Raja Rishis. Imam Vivasvate Yogan Proktavan. This is the sloka which I am just mentioning. But Evam Parampara Praptam Imam Rajar Shayo Viduhu. So actually this Bhagavad Gita was meant for kings who were Raja Rishis. So do you think kings were coward? Do you think Arjuna was coward? Arjuna understood the whole Bhagavad Gita in 45 minutes. And then he killed so many people in the battlefield and became a winner. So how can you defend this statement that if everybody becomes spiritual, how is the nation going to defend itself? In fact, my counter argument is that if everybody becomes spiritual, your question is, okay, you're talking the national perspective. Yes. If everybody becomes spiritual in India, which first of all is never going to happen. But even if, let's say, hypothetically it happens, oh, it will be a wonderful situation. People will perfectly know what they are meant for doing and how they are meant for doing it, and they'll not waste their time, and they will properly align themselves into the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra classification, and then they will become expert at it, and then they will become much better at defending the nation, in my opinion. Next question, why Bhagavad-gita? Why should we answer to this question? Okay, I don't understand this question. How to identify who am I? Yes. Just like you cannot identify who you are on your own, Sharat Ranjan. Just like until and unless my mother will tell me who is my father, I can never know who is my father. Similarly, the scriptures are our mother. The Bhagavad-gita will tell us who we are and what is my relationship. Who am I? Who is God? And what is my relationship with God? This I will come to know by reading the Bhagavad-gita, and not by going to the Himalayas or sitting somewhere in some cave. That is, in Kali Yuga, nobody can understand who they are by such means. So please don't try that. Do we really need Guru to learn ancient scriptures? The Bhagavad-gita says yes. Bhagavad-gita chapter 4, shloka 34, you can read from the Bhagavad-gita as it is. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya updekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. If you want to factually see the truth, tattvadarshi, then you need a spiritual master who himself is a tattvadarshi. Because spiritual science is always, it's not a chalk and talk method. Spiritual science is not like I come to the classroom and I draw some things or write few things and explain. No. Spiritual science is always received and offered from heart to heart. So, if you want to receive it from a particular heart, that means you need a guru who is merciful upon you, who should feel happy to see the services which you are rendering, who should feel that, yes, this boy is going out of his way to assist me in my services. So therefore, let me reveal the spiritual science to him. So therefore, we need a spiritual master, a guru. Now, a separate discussion is what is the criteria or what is the qualification of someone to become a spiritual master? Because there are so many swindlers these days in the names of becoming a guru. They are simply cheating people. So first one has to understand what is the qualification of a spiritual master. And therefore, by the Shastra Chakshu or by the vision of the scriptures, they should find a spiritual master for themselves. And therefore, that is the process to get knowledge. Even Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the spiritual master of everybody, when he comes in this material world, even he accepts a guru. So who are you and me to think like that? Next question, should we be conformist and behave as per the society, or we follow the passion and how we fulfill our needs? See, my answer to this question is just follow the Bhagavad-gita. Bhagavad-gita is the best answer to all questions. Because see, this society will not save you at the time of death. Krishna consciousness or the Bhagavad-gita will save you at the time of death. So my understanding is that sometimes the society may say, oh, you're doing this, or you're reading the Bhagavad-gita so bad, you're chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra so bad. But who is the society? The society, what is the society made of? The society is made of pigs, camels, and donkeys. And in a society of pigs, the dirtier you are, the fatter you are, and the more abominable things you do, you will be respected more. So why should we base our life in order to get respect from these so-called pigs, donkeys, hogs, and camels? So my answer to this question is, in all circumstances, be under guidance and follow the Bhagavad-gita, chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If you sincerely chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in the association of devotees, then all the answers will be revealed to you in your heart. Okay, next question. Is Earth a heavenly or a hellish planet? No. Earth is an earthly planet. Heavenly planetary systems are something else. Hellish planetary systems are something else. And earthly planetary systems are something else. And the goal, the Bhagavad-gita, what it says, that please don't try to go to the heavenly planetary systems, because there also birth, disease, old age, and death is happening. Don't try to go to the hellish planetary systems, because there also birth, death, old age, and disease is happening. And don't remain on earth also, because here also birth, death, old age and disease is happening. Go back home, back to Godhead, where there is no birth, no death, no old age, no disease. Eternally you will stay with Krishna, and eternally you will participate in the pastimes of Krishna, where he will lift the Govardhan hill and you will be so happy with him. Hare Krishna Prabhu, there are aghoris who involve in smiking, meat eating, and also necrophilia. But how do they attain moksha? They are also considered to be spiritual. No. According to Bhagavad-gita, they are not spiritual. They are in the mode of ignorance. And aghoris never attain moksha, according to Bhagavad-gita. Okay, chapter 16, Divine and Demoniac Natures. You can read that. For the reference of everybody, I will give a link from where you can stop, where you can read the Bhagavad Gita from. That link is here. One second. This is the most authentic version of the Bhagavad Gita, which has been very nicely put up. So I'm sending you the link here. Kannada version is not there on the internet. You have to purchase. But if you are okay with English, this is the Bhagavad Gita. All chapters very nicely explained. You can read this and you can understand. Now we will stop taking the questions. Thank you very much for your participation. I'm really, really grateful to you, and I feel very, very obliged. You could have been anywhere else doing anything else. You have taken out the time to come in this session and listen to the science of Krishna consciousness, listen to the Kirtan, listen to the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and listen to the words of Krishna. Therefore, all of you are extremely fortunate. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the next Sunday in the continuation of this session. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Please chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Thank you.